Yeah.
Test.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to get this meeting started. Meeting 9/16, regular meeting of council, December 7th, 2020, 7 p.m. Any additions to the agenda?
You might want to make a reference to new business under A, CA report filling of a council vacancy. There is a resolution. If council so decides to do anything tonight, we can draft one up.
Okay, any disclosure of interest? Presentations, CAO report queries, replies, report OPA and ZBA enhancements and clarifications.
Thank you. At the time of the public meeting on November 23rd, 2020, we had received additional email correspondence being memos stating no objection from Enbridge Gas, Ministry of Natural Resources, and Ministry of Environment, plus a letter of objection from 2 residents. These memos and summary responses to them are attached. The ones from Kimberly McNaughton from the Ministry of Natural Resources and the ones from Maria Djokovic from Ministry of Environment is attached for council's review. There are a few pages. I'm not going to go into the specifics. They're pretty straightforward. Then we received one from Stampier. That was 11 pages that Councillor Acting Mayor read out at the last public meeting, and then our planner replied to it, which is also attached. These are posted on the website, so I won't go into detail on them. They're very specific. They, responses to their questions. If you want, I can read them, but like I say, they're pretty well self-explanatory, and they are on the website.
So people have access to them?
Pardon?
People do have access to them, so we don't have to.
Absolutely, they're on the website. They were uploaded today. The next one is the OB and zoning bylaw enhancements and rationale. Through these consultations, there are some additional comments that were added for clarity within the bylaws themselves. You got a copy of it basically that identifies the slight changes for clarity. Attached to the zoning and OP bylaws for adoption, and note that these are slightly different than the drafts previously presented to council. See copies with highlighted changes. I did that for you. In association with the planning report, specifically the zoning bylaw has been enhanced to ensure no disruption to the site until the H is removed. That's the fail-safe aspect to this proposal. In addition, the planning rationale section of the OPA has been expanded upon to better explain the disrupted nature of the site and the need for a zoning that allows for site rehabilitation. If you can, I can go through it if you want. Okay. Basically, bylaw 2020-12-20. If you go down to number 1, basically it says the Township of Red Rock being the attached text designated as Schedule A, which was added. Go past the constitutional statement. And in attachment number 2, public meeting was held on November 23rd. We had to change the dates with respect to proposed amendment to the official plan as it applies to part of Lot 4 Concession 2 identified as part of PIN number 62471-0535 and further identified in the Township tax roll as part of property number 5841000000-410-00 and shown on property location 1 as Exhibit 1 to the forming part of this amendment. As we go down to amendment number 2 was adopted by the Corporation of Township of Red Rock by bylaw number 2020-12-20 in accordance with section 22(1) of the Planning Act 1990 on the 7th day of December 27. If you go into part A in the preamble under location, basically the last sentence as identified as part of municipal property, roll number 54100000041-000 as shown in Exhibit 1. If you go down to basis of amendment, 3rd paragraph down, the subject lands are located between the former rail spur and lake shoreline. On-site field and historical investigations revealed that lands had been disturbed by past accredited extraction activity, primary for the purpose of creating the adjacent spur rail bed. These constructive activities left the lands in a disrupted state, with many area of irregular rock materials and irregular and interrupted drainage on very thin and non-existent soil. Although vegetation had managed to grow up over the decades, it is clear the site qualifies and is in need of rehabilitation. Go down to the 3rd paragraph, 4th sentence. The township is focused on diversification, tourism, and quality of life. For these reasons is the added words. And then go down to basically in addition, because of there has been very limited renewal of housing stock, it is important that suitable larger sites for development and new residential dwellings are available to meet current and future community demands. Over to the other page, top paragraph. This lakeshore site is attractive, large enough, and close to build-up area, making it well-suited to providing new housing in a variety of tenure and building forms as policy 541. In addition, the township as landowner intends to participate in partnership and economic development policy 236C to land deposition. Accordingly, the township is redesignated in subject lands from predominantly open space to townsite residential. Down to the other paragraph, basically, and I'm going to read the full bylaws out, but it just shows you total lengths of over 25 kilometers was added. And then according at the bottom, last sentence of that 2nd paragraph, according to the township is amending this specific provision of the official plan. 3rd paragraph down, this amendment removes the shoreline hazard land designation, which would typically prohibit alteration of vegetation soils intending to protect natural lands and areas. As noted earlier, the subject lands are not natural, but rather in need of rehabilitation. Such rehabilitation is consistent with the rehabilitation policies of section 467 of the Red Rock official plan. Removal of the hazard land designation is needed because it would significantly allow the importation of suitable fill, the planting of proper vegetation, and the general rehabilitation to its natural shoreline environment. Right at the bottom, last paragraph, the proposal is consistent with all these settlement areas and urban infill policies. Top of the other page, as noted earlier, the subject lands is a site disturbed by past aggregated extraction activity, which extended from the shoreline to the adjacent rail spur line. And the site is in need of proper soil, vegetation, natural environment rehabilitation. Such rehabilitation is supported by the public policy statement policies of section 253. If you go on to part B under the amendment under Schedule A, It's just identifying that part of the township property, road number 548000000041000, is added to PIN number 67471-0535. That was the only change, just for clarification. On the diagram of subject lands, Exhibit 1 is identified. And when we go over to the bylaw number 2020-1221, we go down to whereas, the second paragraph, it talks about whereas in accordance with subsection 3412 and 3413 of the Act, notice of public meeting was given on September 28, 2020, and a public meeting was held on November 23, 2020, at which time report number 9, 2020, Chief Administrative Officer was considered. That was a report that I had that was read out by the planner at that particular time. And then go right down at the bottom, number 1, in part of lot 4, concession 2, being part of PIN number 62471-0535, located north of Highway 628, Township of Red Rock, identified in the Township Tax Roll as part of the property number 5841 60-410-20, and shown on property location as Exhibit 1 to forming part of this amending bylaw. And if you go down into the final page, number 4, in addition to the general regulations of Section 3 of the zoning bylaw, the following provisions also apply to subject lands. No removal of vegetation is permitted, nor is any site alteration permitted except for minor testing and similar purposes. Notwithstanding the provisions of Section 5.1 and Section 6.1, permitted uses under the H holding provision is removed. The permitted uses on the subject lands are any use existing at December 7th, 2020. That is the clarity that was added based on some of the comments that came back.
Does anyone have any questions for Albert? Comments? Okay, minutes of previous council meeting. Any errors or omissions? Moved by Sarah Park, seconded by Gord Muir. Be it resolved that the minutes of Monday, November 16th, 2020, regular meeting of council be approved as presented. In favor? Okay, bylaws. I'm assuming I'm reading this whole thing?
You can or I can, doesn't matter.
No, that's okay. Okay, by bylaw 2020-1220 to adopt official plan amendment number 2 of the Corporation Township of Red Rock. Official plan Highway 628 at North Trout Creek. My glasses are clogging up. Whereas the Corporation of the Township of Red Rock is desirous to amend the official plan, now therefore the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Red Rock enacts as follows. Pursuant to the provisions of subsection 21-1 of the Planning Act as amended, amendment number 2 to the official plan of the Township of Red Rock, being the attached text designated as Schedule A, is hereby adopted. This bylaw shall come into force and take effect on the day of final passing. Read it first and second time. Okay, so amendment number 2, the public meeting was held on November 23rd, 2020 with respect to proposed amendment to the official plan as it applies to part of Lot 4, Concession 2, identified as part of PIN number 62471-0535, and further identified in the Township Tax Roll as part of property number 8541 00000-410-00, and shown as property location 1 on Exhibit 1, 2, and forming part of this amendment. Amendment number 2 was adopted by the Corporation of the Township of Red Rock by bylaw number 2020-1220 in accordance with section 21-1 of the Planning Act 1990 on the 7th day of December 2020. Do I read the preamble? Okay. The purpose of this amendment is to change the land use designation of certain lands from the open space, hazard land, and industrial designation and place these lands into the town site residential designation, all as shown as Exhibit 1, 2, and forming part of this amendment. Location. The subject lands are located on the north side of the Red Rock Road between CPR Road and Park Road, east of Highway 628, and immediately northwest of Big Trout Creek, and are legally described as being part of Lot 4, Concession 2, Township of Red Rock, provincially identified as part of PIN 62471-0535, and identified as part of Municipal Property Roll number 8541-000-041-000, as shown as Exhibit 1. Basis for amendment. The subject lands are currently owned by the township. These lands are part of the former holdings of the Red Rock Mill, Inc., which totaled over 240 acres in the area and became owned by the township due to tax arrears several years after the Kraft paper mill closed in November 2006. The subject lands are located within the defined settlement area intended for full service development and are located within the area intended to accommodate growth of the township. Municipal sewer, water, and storm service are immediately available to the subject lands. The subject lands are located between a former rail spur and the lake shoreline. On-site field and historical investigation revealed that the lands had been disturbed by past aggregate extraction activity, primarily for the purpose of creating the adjacent spur rail bed. These construction activities left the lands in a disreputed state with many areas of irregular rock materials and irregular and interrupted drainage on very thin and non-existent soil. Although vegetation has managed to grow up over the decades, it is clear the site qualifies and is in need of rehabilitation. The primary goal of the 2011 official plan is to guide development for economic stability and sustain a clean, friendly, healthy, safe, and viable community so as to meet current and future needs of the community. Policy 2.1.2. Since the closure of the mill, the town site experienced population decline and a level of economic difficulty. The township is focusing on diversification, tourism, and quality of life. For these reasons, quality of space is considered a primary factor in retaining and attracting new population and economic development, policy 2.3.5. In addition, because there has been very limited renewal of housing stock, it is important that suitable larger sites for development and new residential dwellings be available to meet current and future economic needs or community needs. The official plan directs new residential development to the settlement area with an emphasis to infill development on full urban services, policy 2.4.4.b. The subject lands are located within the defined settlement area, have full urban services available. This lake shore site is attractive, large enough, and close to the built-up area, making it well suitable to provide new housing in the future of tenure and close to the build-up building forms, policy 5.4.1. In addition, the township, as landowner, intends to participate and partnership in economic development, policy 2.3.6.c, through land disposition. Accordingly, the township is redesignating the subject lands from predominantly open space to townsite residential. In addition, it is council's finding that the current official plan requirement of policy 5.9.4 for a 30-meter setback along all of both Big and Little Trout Creeks is too widely applied, and that it would not be reasonable to apply the same setback distance to every property on these creeks along their entire total length of over 25 plus kilometers. It is also administration's view that such site-specific setbacks are more appropriately found in the township zoning bylaw, and that it would also be more appropriate to determine any setbacks based on site-specific reports, which evaluate the sustainability of conditions at any particular location. Accordingly, the township is amending this specific provision in the official plan. This amendment removes the shore hazard land designation, which would typically prohibit alteration of vegetation and soils intended to protect natural lands and areas. As noted earlier, the subject lands are not natural, but rather in need of rehabilitation. Such rehabilitation is consistent with the rehabilitation policy of section 4.6.7 of the Red Rock official plan. Removal of the hazard land designation is needed because it would specifically allow the importation of suitable fill, the planting of proper vegetation, and the general rehabilitation to a natural shoreline environment. It is notable that the policies of section 6.8 of the official plan allow for the use of an H holding provision in any implementing zoning bylaw amendment. The official plan further requires that any significant natural environment and habitat features be identified and protected prior to development, policy 4.4. It is the intent of council to utilize such holdings provisions to ensure that an application for a planned subdivision is received for the lands, and to also ensure that appropriate regard is had for the natural environment, and therefore such H holding provision are to be included in any associated zoning bylaw amendment. The policies of the growth plan for Northern Ontario became effective March 1st, 2011, and seek to direct growth and economic development in Northern Ontario. This application is consistent with the growth plan of Northern Ontario. This proposal will support healthy communities by supporting a range of mix of housing types. The growth plan of Northern Ontario calls for higher density development in communities, which includes Red Rock. This type of intensification makes efficient use of existing infrastructure, which is one of the stated purposes of the growth plan. The policies of the new updated provincial policy statement, PPS-2020, are in effect as of May 1st, 2020, and guide planning approval authorities to make decisions that support planning towards a strong and sustainable Ontario. The proposal is supported by the provincial policy statement, PPS 2020, and it encourages residential infill and intensification in built-up areas where services exist to support the proposed development. A range of mixed and residential and employment uses is recognized as contributing to healthy, viable, and safe communities. The PPS also calls for densities that support active and public transportation. This proposal is consistent with all of these settlement area and urban infill policies. As noted earlier, the subject lands are a site disturbed by past aggregate extraction activity, which extended from the shoreline to the adjacent rail spur line, and the site is in need of proper soil, vegetation, natural environment rehabilitation, and such rehabilitation is supported by the PPS policy of section 2.5.3. This proposal does not conflict with any parts of the PPS. Accordingly, the redesignation of the subject land is consistent with the PPS-2020, does not conflict with the growth plan, and conforms with the purpose and intent of the Red Rock official plan, and is therefore desirable, would provide for appropriate development for the property, and constitutes good planning. Part B, The Township of Red Rock official plan as amended is further amended as follows. Schedule A, land uses of the official plan is amended by removing certain lands being part of Lot 4 Concession 2 and identified as part of PIN number 62471-0535 and part of Township property roll number 5841-00000-410-00 located within the settlement area boundary from the open space, hazard land, and industrial designations, and placing these lands in the town site residential designation, all as shown on Exhibit 1, 2, and forming part of the amendment. And this paragraph, that paragraph 2 of policy 5.9.4 is deleted in its entirety and replaced by the following. All water courses and lakes within the municipality should have a minimum 15-meter development setback due to the potentially eroded nature of the banks of the Big and Little Trout Creek. A larger minimum setback may be required based on site-specific evaluation to protect the riparian, vegetation, and soil stability. Other water courses may also have additional setback established in the zoning bylaw where site-specific conditions warrant additional protection. Okay, moved by Gord Muir, seconded by Sarah Park. Be it resolved that a bylaw be introduced, being a bylaw to amend the official plan be read a first and second time, number 2020-1220. All in favor? Moved by Sarah Park, seconded by Cam Tedesco. Be it resolved that the bylaw be introduced, being a bylaw to amend the official plan be read a third time and finally passed, numbered 2020-1220, and the seal of the municipality placed thereon. All in favor? Okay. The Corporation of the Township of Red Rock, bylaw 2020-1221, to amend bylaw 2013-1080, the zoning bylaw of the Corporation Township of Red Rock, Highway 628, Red Rock Road at Big Trout Creek. Whereas authority to provide in accordance with Section 34 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, as amended the Act to pass a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw number 2013-1080 of the Corporation of the Township of Red Rock. And whereas in accordance with Section 34-12 and 34-13 of the Act, notice of the public meeting was given September 28, 2020, and a public meeting was held on November 23, 2020, at which time report number 1123-2020 by the Chief CAO was considered. And whereas Council may, in accordance with Section 36 of the Act, in a bylaw passed under Section 34 of the Act, apply a holding symbol H in conjunction with any use designation, specify the use to which lands, buildings, or structures may be put at such time in the future as a holding symbol is removed by amendment to the bylaw. And whereas the holding provision of the Act cannot be used unless the official plan policies related to their use have been provided or approved, and the Township of Red Rock official plan contains policies of using holding provisions. Now, therefore, the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Red Rock enacts as follows. 1. Bylaw 2013-1080, as amended by adding the following paragraph to it. ZBA-2020-04. 1. The following lands in the Township of Red Rock in the District of Thunder Bay, part of Lot 4, Concession 2, being part of PIN number 62471-0535, located north of Highway 628, Township of Red Rock, identified in the Township Tax Roll as part of property number 8541-000-410-00, and shown as property location 1 on Exhibit 1 to forming part of the amendment bylaw, is removing from the OS open space and EP environmental protection zone, and is instead designated as part of the LDRH, low density residential 1 or 2 dwelling unit zone holding. 2, the following land in the Township of Red Rock in the District of Thunder Bay, part of Lot 4, Concession 2, being part of PIN number 62471-0535, located north of Highway 628, Township of Red Rock, identified in the Township Tax Roll as part of property number 5841-000-000-410-00, and shown as property location 2 on Exhibit 1 to the forming part of this amending bylaw, is removed from the OS open space, EP environmental protection, and HTC highway tourism commercial zone, and is instead designated as part of the MRH, multiple residential, multiple dwelling units zone holding. The H holding symbol shall not be removed from the lands until such time as the owner has submitted a complete application form for approval of a plan of subdivision for the land shown as property location 1 and property location 2 on Exhibit 1, 2 and forming part of this amendment bylaw, and Council has received appropriate documentation from the developer as it satisfies that the documentation satisfactorily addresses any and all environmental concerns regarding the subject lands. 4, in addition to the general regulations of Section 3 of the zoning bylaw, the following provision also applies to the subject lands. No removal of vegetation is permitted, nor is any site alteration permitted except for minor testing or similar purposes. 5, withholding the provision of Section 5.1 and 6.1 permitted use until the H holding provision is removed. The permitted use on the subject lands are and use existing at December 7th, 2020. This bylaw is in accordance with the official plan as amended by OPA number 2. This bylaw shall come into force and take effect upon the date where the approval of the OPA number 2 is final. Read this first and second time on the 7th day of December 2020. Okay, moved by Cam Tedesco, seconded by Gord Muir. Be it resolved that the bylaw be introduced, being a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw, be read a first and second time, number 2020-1221. All for? Moved by Sarah Park, seconded by Gord Muir. Be it resolved that the bylaw be introduced, being a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw, be read a third time and finally passed. Number 2020-1221, and the seal of the municipality placed thereon. All four. Okay, correspondence. Received a letter from the DSAB, District of Thunder Bay Social Services Administrative Board. They passed a resolution calling upon the government to offset revenue loss resulting from this, from a higher levy in 2021 to member municipalities than under current policy. Because of the pandemic, they created what the COVID-19 pandemic has created, and understand the province of Ontario's effort during these challenging times. However, the reduced rent revenue will leave nonprofit housing providers with a lessened ability to cover operating shortfalls in 2020. Service managers like DSAB will be required to cover the shortfalls experienced by funded non-for-profits. This shortfall will be passed on to the member municipalities through this levy. Last year, they brought this issue up to them. The district organizations, due to the changes in policy, provincial policy, and cost sharing arrangements have been made. Adding another unexpected cost will add up to that concern. They say, I trust that this request will be accorded serious consideration and support. Should there be any questions or clarifications required regarding the resolution, your staff we can contact Bill Bradica, Chief Administrative Officer. Okay, reports of offices, the CAO report.
Thank you. Interim Director of Corporate Services, Randy Pokanen, has been engaged with all departments in relation to assumptions to budget process going forward and providing the 2021 budget templates for consideration, view, input, modification. We'll embark on a 5-year financial plan when 2022 and 26 will also be a working document in process. So the assumptions have gone out to all department heads. The budget templates have gone out with the micro figures on them, and we have reached out today to arrange meetings with each department head to go through the budget and the process so everybody has a full understanding and be part of the process going forward, realizing the economical situation. Working with local scrap yard dealer to dispose of old rails along Baker Road and a replacement of flat rail car as a bridge over Baker Road leading to the Marina Park grounds. We have been in contact with the individual that's working up at the landfill site, and he's offered basically I think it's $100 a ton is what they're paying at the scrap dealership. Mr. Saracen has checked it out. He's got 2 quotes, 180, 100. He's offering us 100. That will be removing the steel, the rail steel, I guess the high carbon. It's about, I think, 85 to 115 pound test. So it's not used on the CPRCN anymore. So it's scrap. And he has the equipment to move it, so which is necessary in the transportation. He's supposed to get back to me this week when he's going to be starting to remove that. And that's something we probably want to get rid of sooner than later. Therefore, it's estimated, and it's just a rough conservative estimate, around $10,000 for the rails, depending on what they weigh in as. I figure it's going to be more. I think it's more than 100 tons there, but the company has equipment and we will remove at their cost and transport. Agreement will be drafted specifying the particulars. The East Coast Canada Director of Operations through Zoom will be arranged in the later part of December with the remainder applicants in early July due to COVID-19. Have registered acting Mayor D. Robinson and myself to attend the virtual Roma AGM on January 21st. We have requested 3 meetings with ministers, infrastructure, Ministry of Northern Development, Mines, Economic Development, and Job Creation has been acknowledged already. Have reached out to Cascade to encourage the transfer of their property, which was supposed to be done in 2017. He's informed me that they're going to be looking at that next week. The lawyer couldn't get get at it on November the 16th, but he has assured me that they're going to have top priority and try to get it done before the end of the year. Working collectively with Wendy Ferris Castle Real Estate Thunder Bay to provide market pricing on 3 township properties. One's the site that we look at for the proposed development. One is a Canop, one is a Texaco. Just wondering what the prices would be for that. Continue to work closely with Limestone Partners on the Red Rock All-Season Tourism Action Plan. We are continuing to explore business investment opportunities, and more discussion will follow. I've reached out to all ministries in relation to our 5 applications submitted for review and approval. CDO internship, community marketing internship, RV park business plan, Township of Red Rock strategic plan, recreation center, Prompton Newton Road revitalization, and presently reviewing and submitting an application for $100,000 allocated to the Township COVID-19 resilience infrastructure stream provided by the federal government. That has to be in there by December 21st, so I'm just working with departments to see what we can use it for. It has some restrictions. Have received another interested party in relationship to the operation of the bowling alley. We'll need to confirm commitment before approaching the bowling alley league. Haven't received that yet. With COVID-19 the way it's going, it's hard to say what's going to transpire. So I think, I'll have to reach out to the league and also that other individual. Okay, administration staff have done well in the new Munisoft software transition. We've reached out to the representative for an update, and we revised some alternatives to go forward, provide a little bit of more progress going forward, but to eliminate some of the workload and some stuff that could actually be put over to 2021, which makes it a lot easier for vacation in December. But it will be ready, up and running by January 1st. Have been working collectively with Grant Match to take advantage of potential grant opportunities available to us. We've had 2 discussions to date. More will follow in the influx of federal provincial initiatives in 2021. I've also worked with project manager Jose Caso and Hatch Engineering in regards to the status level of the Ministry of Environment providing approval. What happened was the application was supposed to go in on December in 2017. According to the Ministry of Environment, they never received it. And that's fine because it was classified by Hatch at that time as a level 3. However, Aqua looked at it and they have a difference of opinion. So Aqua and their engineers and Hatch engineers work collectively together, and they say that they probably can make it a level 2, but we're just waiting for a ministry's approval, and that's been sent off today by Pure Later. Had discussion with Infrastructure Canada and the province on funding for the new SCADA proposal for the water treatment plant. It's still in progress. Proposal submitted. Nothing has come back from them in regards to yay or nay, so that's obviously a good sign. And that funding will come, basically, if it's approved, will come from the original dollars that have been allocated to the wastewater treatment plant. If there's a surplus, we can use it. Administration, we need to factor in the 2021 budget to review an update of our official plan and zoning bylaw. I'm just reaching out to the ministry now. Areas such as CCANs and residential storage and small homes would have to be some areas for review, which is not in the official plan or zoning bylaw or official plan right now. I reached out to the Ontario Liquor Board to purchase the property on South Street. The rationale if the municipal offer is accepted in early 2021 would be to combine both properties in the vault. The sale to a developer to have a commercial building constructed would probably be more impressive compared to the separate site there because it's small. And then the offer can be given to tear down the vault basically, and maybe give them some kind of incentive where they don't have to pay tipping fees. That's because the vault's structurally unsound. 3 engineers that looked at it gave the same opinion. So it's basically null and void for this time. Continue to work closely with Limestone Partners, as I mentioned. I've already stated that, have I not? Yeah, sorry. I'm going back. I reached out to Enbridge for a $2,000 donation for the purchase of 2 portable radios for the fire department. The request has been approved and we're just waiting for the check. This will give our fire department 10 portables. The condition is that if, in case there's an emergency declaration, that we'd be able to take one to the EOC if we require it. So that was a donation that they gave us, and they figured, might as well they have 8 portables. This gives them 10, so they're, minimum is 6, so we're doing fine there. And due to the increase in COVID-19 in the district and for the safety and well-being of our staff, the entry into the township office as of December 7 will be appointment only. Pre-screening by staff will be required. Management will monitor and the district see COVID-19 and apply additional measures as required.
Any questions for Albert in the report? Moved by Sarah Park, seconded by Cam Tedesco, be resolved that the following payments be approved in the amount of $264,732.09. All four? Unfinished business, West End Nepegan Bay Lake Trout Restocking. I believe that's Ken.
Thank you. This name sounds a little bit new, and that's because it is new. This is an amalgamation of the Red Rock Fish and Game Club and a number of interested parties, essentially in the region, that are interested in applying to have the ministry restock lake trout in the Nepegan Bay. It's actually called the West End Nepegan Bay. Within the past couple of months, there's been a change in leadership of the Red Rock Fish and Game Club. Guy Rio has decided to retire, and Marcel Jean is now the president, and there's associations with Monty Kerr and a number of others. There's collaboration with Lake Helen, the Red Rock Indian Band, Dorian, Nepegan. Also, as far as Shunya, where we've had good collaboration with Wendy Landry, the mayor of Shunya, who is highly interested in seeing these things going forward because of the benefits that it will provide for the local people catching fish, especially having families become involved in the fishing sport in this area. But also it will enhance a lot of the tourism, and then it'll have the ripple effect all the way throughout the whole community with the fishing. So there have been several meetings, and with incredible ability, Wendy Landry has been able to reach out to Deputy Minister of Policy for the Ministry of Natural Resources. And there has been some very forward positive comments coming from that minister, that deputy, pardon me. We are now awaiting, we should be hearing within the next couple of weeks, months, hopefully that there will be a policy change allowing the West End Nepegan Bay Association to get some restocking provided by the Ministry of Natural Resources. There's a huge resource available in Dorian. Apparently they do have tanks that would be highly suitable for this plan, and they in fact are kind of sitting on pins and needles waiting to hear some positive news in that respect too. So I hope to be able to report, if we could perhaps put it on the next meeting date, any results that will come from, hopefully from the Deputy Minister's office, and hopefully we should have some further good news. We were highly encouraged by the positive response. Wendy Landry is an incredible resource, and we certainly want to keep her in this loop. I think that's about it.
Thank you. Okay, new business. CEO report.
Thank you. This is just basically filling a council vacancy. Enclosed for perusal is the Municipal Act requirements for filling a vacancy. Municipal Act 2001, Section 59, 1, vacant seat. An office of a member of council of a municipality becomes vacant if a member becomes disqualified from holding the office of a member of council under Section 256, 257, 258, which is not applicable. Fails to make the declaration of office before the deadline in Section 232. Is absent from meetings of council for 3 consecutive months without being authorized to do so by resolution of council. Resigns from his office, and a resignation is effective under Section 260, which is the case here. Is appointed or elected to fill the vacancy in any other office that the same council has. His or her office declared vacant in any judicial proceeding. Forfeits his or her office under this or any other act, or dies whether before or after accepting office and making the prescribed declarations. Section 261, resignation of member. A member of council of municipality may resign from office in writing, filed with the clerk of the municipality. It was filed at the township office by letter of resignation Friday, November 13, 2020, reason health issues, and it was accepted at the council meeting on November 16, 2020. Section 262.1, declaration of the office of a member of council becomes vacant under Section 259. The council shall at its next regular meeting declare the office to be vacant, except if the vacancy occurs as a result of a death of a member. The declaration may be made in either of the next 2 meetings. You acknowledge that on November 16th. Section 263, filling of vacancies. If a vacancy occurs in the office of a member of council, municipality shall, subject to this section, fill the vacancy by appointing a person who has consented to accept the office if appointed, or require a by-election to be held to fill the vacancy in accordance with the Section 65 under the Municipal Act 1996. So if you choose that, there's regulations and timeframes and costing that's involved. Section 263.5, rules applying to fill vacancies. The following rules apply to filling vacancies. Within 60 days after the day of declaration of vacancy is made, with respect of the vacancy under Section 262, the municipality shall appoint a person to fill the vacancy under Sections 1 to 4, or pass a bylaw requiring a by-election to be held to fill the vacancy under subsection 1. Despite paragraph 1, if a court declares the office to be vacant, the council shall, under the Act, Section 1 or 4, within 60 days of the day the court makes its declaration. Despite subsection 90, should be 1, 2, 4, the vacancy occurs within 90 days before the voting day of a regular election. The municipality is not required to fill the vacancy. So basically, 260 term, a person appointed or elected to fill the vacancy under subsection 260 shall hold office for the remainder of the term of the person he or she replaces. So tonight, what council has to decide in public and how they want to fill the vacancy. Have a discussion on it.
If I could start, I would like to nominate Darkise Robinson for the position of mayor and to fill the vacancy on council. I suggest that we fill it the same way we filled the last position, with the next in line, so that in order to be transparent, I think that that is our best choice. That's my opinion. And Darkise, I think you'd make a great mayor.
Jake, are you just...
I'm nominating.
Yeah, we're just talking about this vacancy here. We're not talking about her vacancy. If she takes, like...
Okay, so tonight we have to fill one vacancy and we're filling the mayor's position?
That's correct.
Yes, okay. So I nominate Darkise Robinson for the position of mayor.
I accept the nomination. Thank you.
Perfect.
Moved by Sarah Park, seconded by Gord Meir. Be it resolved that council approves appointing Darkise Robinson as its preferred method to fill the vacancy of mayor for the Township of Red Rock. In favor? Thank you guys for your support. I've got some big shoes to fill, and I hope I do well.
So what we'll do is then we'll bring a bylaw to council on the next meeting for your appointment and swearing in. And then it'll give council an opportunity to decide how you want to. Yeah, because matter of fact, we should actually do a resolution tonight stating that your vacancy is there, and then you can make that decision at the next meeting when you fill your position. Then you can.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sorry, I should have thought of that.
Moved by Sarah Park, seconded by Cam Tedesco, be resolved that the position of Councillor D. Robinson be classified as vacant due to her appointment as mayor. All in favor? Okay, next is Thunder Bay Regional Health Science Center Foundation. So we got a portfolio package for the cardiovascular campaign from Wendy Landry and Barry Streb. It's in regards to if anyone knows anything about heart attacks, you get sent to Thunder Bay. If you are successful in cath lab, they'll put stints in and you stay the night and you can go home. If that's not your option, you are to fly to Hamilton or Toronto, where they can do a more aggressive procedure. So what their campaign is trying to raise funds so that cardiac surgery can be at or done at the Thunder Bay Regional. So what this portfolio has broken down for us, so we have 444 households in this community. So if we were to give a $5,000 donation pledged over 5 years, approximately the amount per household is $2.25. And a $10,000 donation over 5 years per household would be $4.50. So what they're asking us is if this municipality would like to contribute to this campaign. And I'm just looking for feedback.
I think we all know of many people that have suffered heart issues. It is a huge problem in our area, probably more than cancer. I presume you might be able to fill us in a bit on the statistics, rough statistics, but it is something that is, to me, is very, very important, and I think we should really support it, at least to the $5,000 mark.
I just break it down, the $2.25 per household, like that's a large coffee at Tim Hortons. So that's once a year. So if you go to Tim Hortons, I could be the rec center for 2 coffees. That's your contribution for the whole year. So I don't know, I believe this community would support this. They would support 2 cups of coffee a year, right? Which would go towards this campaign. And that's the $5,000 level.
You know, I agree as well with that. It's really not that much for what you get though, because it is very important. We need that better service there, and a lot of people will go use it. I definitely support either or, honestly, at this point.
Well, I support it, but I think 5,000 is a lot myself, but I would be comfortable with 2,500, but not 5,000. But that's just my opinion.
Any other comments?
When do they need an answer by this? Could we get a cost breakdown for, well, it's going to be
Well, I would think 2,500 would be $1, whatever, right?
yeah, half of the 225, yeah. But I'd say 2,500 is a good compromise.
I'm for 5,000. I'm sorry. I'll contribute $100 personally myself right now.
Do we want to think about it and bring it back to the next meeting, or make a decision tonight on the amount? And we'll go from there.
Let's think about it.
Yeah, this let people watch the meeting and people can chime in and let us know what they think as well too, right? Obviously, we bring it back to the next meeting. We have time, yeah?
Okay, so we know council's in support of this initiative. We just need to figure out a dollar value.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sounds good.
You want to defer to the next meeting?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just ask for community feedback. If somebody sees us at the grocery store, just let us know what you think.
Okay, next is set facility rental rates and specified fees and charges for services.
Just wanted to just bring it to your attention, usually this time of year that we do set the facility rate fees and special fees and service charges. However, I think we should hold off. We are doing a rate study for water and sewer, and that's something that we can look at and combine as well at the same time. We can look at, bringing this forward in January, so we'll have an answer by then.
We're all in favor of that? Okay. Roma AGM 2021 registration and participants. So Albert and I are both signed up for this. It is January 25th and 26th. It's virtual, so we can do it from comfort of Red Rock. No traveling. The cost is $400 per person to attend this. There's always a fee, but if we're not seen, we're not heard from the government. So hopefully we get meetings with some ministers. Moved by Cam Tedesco, seconded by Sarah Park. Be it resolved that the council approves the attendance of Councillor Robinson and CEO Hendrick to the 2021 Roma AGM virtual conference, January 2021, at the sum of $904. All in favor? Mayor. Okay, resolution to cancel regular meeting of council January 4th, 2021.
I believe somebody made a comment that they wanted to, right after the Christmas season, to cancel that meeting, basically. It gives that time break.
Yes, well, we know the government doesn't do anything over Christmas,
That's
so
great.
there's going to be minimal correspondence. So. Do we need a resolution? Asset management level 2 and 3.
Yes, there was an error in the last resolution by $1,800. Technically, our share will be 7,600, and that'll be for level 1 and level 2, which is close to, I think, $60-some thousand. FCM did get back to us. They are reviewing our application at this particular time. However, we had to make that correction that we cover our cost, which is a provincial regulation requirement for next year. So that's why I'm bringing this new one forward, because the old one is not valid.